Hey guys, Dr. Josh Axe here along with Dusten, and today we're talking about the 5 elements of Chinese medicine, and it's good here to have another Think Your Wood element, as am I. So we're going to talk about wood element here today, and really how this relates to your health. Remember, the 5 elements of Chinese medicine was really sort of the first personality-driven or personalized form of medicine. And so today we have things like Enneagram and Myers-Briggs and a disc profile. But Chinese medicine went so much deeper in saying when you have a certain type of personality, it actually affects your organ systems. It actually makes a difference in what you should be doing on a daily basis, how you re-energize yourself, how you heal yourself. And so we're going to dig into all of that today. So Dustin, I know you took the quiz on, the 5 elements quiz, and what did it come out as?
I'm a wood element. So you and I apparently are very similar. And from my research, it affects the liver and the gallbladder.
That's right.
And that I'm a springtime person. That's my peak. So which makes sense because I get very excited come springtime, warm weather around the corner and all that stuff. So according to my personality and the answers that I made, that's what I came out to be.
Well, you know what? How very wood element of you to have come into this interview with a plan and actually told me already what, anyways, so it's very, very, very wood element. So even looking at you right now, there's different ways to be able to tell a wood element. One is appearance. Wood elements tend to be leaner. They tend to be almost like the roots of a tree. So you'll start to see their veins even running through their forearms in different areas of their bodies. So somewhere here, you're going to see the roots, of their body actually show pretty prominently on wood elements. The organ systems, as you mentioned, is liver, gallbladder. Now, the emotions they experience, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this. Wood elements, when they come into conflict or things don't go their way, the emotions that they would naturally experience would be impatience, frustration, and sometimes having a little bit of a short fuse if they get under too much stress for too long. How would you say that describes you?
That's fairly accurate.
Yeah.
I try to pay close attention to the way I handle those situations, but I do find myself losing my patience pretty easily as more and more stress is put on me and I get involved in conflict. So it takes a lot of just calming myself down and reassuring myself that I can get through this and I'm going to be okay, or there's a bigger reason for this, and looking into it. But yeah, you were 100% spot on with my emotional aspect of conflict.
Yeah, so again, I'm wired the same way. It's if, traffic jams, I have a hard time in those, or things that sort of don't allow us to continue to grow. And that's really what the wood element's all about is wood elements, more than anything, they want to continue to see growth. And when something stunts their growth, it really causes them to be stressed. Another thing to know about wood elements and the way that you're wired is wood elements tend to be visionaries, they tend to be planners, and they tend to be leaders. When something needs to get done, sometimes wood elements are like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get things done. And really, things like what tend to be stressful situations for other people or conflict, a lot of times wood elements will say, I'm going to go ahead and deal with that right now in getting it done. But again, biggest characteristics are visionaries, and they're big time planners. They always want to have a plan. And Chelsea and I, my wife Chelsea jokes about this. My wife Chelsea, she's a water element. So she's like, no, we'll figure it out as we go. Let's go with the flow. And I'm like, before every vacation or we go anywhere, it's like, no, like, hey, we're going to New York City. Let me schedule every restaurant we're going to. Let's plan out the whole time. Let's optimize the entire.
Exactly. No, 100%. I'm the same way. I have timelines of when my wife and I go on vacation. If we leave at this time, we'll get here. We have this long for a break. We can get gas at this time. That'll put us here right at that time. And so I plan everything out.
High five, man. I just, I love this. So it's so good. So, what elements connecting here? A few other things about wood elements. So you mentioned this, liver, gallbladder. So wood elements, when you experience the emotions of impatience, frustration, if a wood element gets really out of bounds, it turns into anger. So think about this, like if a wood element would affect their liver too much, it's going to cause them to be angry if their diet is too unhealthy. So think about somebody that drinks way too much alcohol. You have somebody, an alcoholic later on, that actually can cause them to have angry outbursts. Same thing, alcohol affects the liver. So think about this. But that's just toxicity. Your liver deals with all toxins. it's really important as a wood element that you keep your liver and gallbladder strong. The best way to do that is lots of green vegetables.
Okay.
Vegetables and herbs really help nourish and cleanse the liver and gallbladder on a regular basis. And also people that are wood elements need to be careful not to overconsume foods that are especially hydrogenated oils and really bad fats, because those will actually clog up the liver and the gallbladder and the bile duct. And so again, for wood elements, it's green, fresh foods, it's some raw foods, it's big salads, it's spinach, it's kale, it's sprouts, or a great example, green and like Granny Smith apples. Some sour foods in small amounts. You don't want to go overboard, but small amounts of lemon and lime and those sorts of foods. Very, very nourishing for a wood element. And also the herbs like milk thistle and bupleurum. Artichokes tend to be very, very good for wood element as well. And you just got to keep that liver, gallbladder going, which is important for wood elements too.
It's very, very helpful to know. I consider myself a predominant meat eater.
Yep.
And I've always been told I need to incorporate more green vegetables into my diet. And so it's reassuring to hear that me forcing myself to eat more vegetables is very beneficial for me as an element.
Yeah, and wood elements do well with meat, but especially just really clean meat, where some of the meats that are bad and in terms of maybe it's grain-fed meat or an animal's been injected with steroids or antibiotics, that will really affect a wood element. But if a wood element is eating, a fair amount of organic wild meat, but then lots of vegetables and greens with it, they'll thrive. It really is sort of an ideal diet for a wood element there as well. And emotionally, it's important this too. Wood elements need to spend time visualizing, goal setting, and planning. Really sort of preparing themselves and being in an area where they can grow. They also need to be in a job where they're given the opportunity to grow as a person and increase their position in the company. And so that's the hardest thing for wood elements is, where maybe a fire and earth element, their biggest thing is, hey, they need community. Fire elements need passion and excitement in their job. What's really important for wood elements, and again, metal elements, it's structure. That's what they need. Wood elements, they need an area where they can thrive and continue to grow as a person. And so again, all these things are important for health too, because think about this, if a wood element has a lot of frustration in their workplace or frustration at home or in those things, it actually will cause liver and gallbladder disease. They'll stop digesting fats as well. Then will affect their metabolism. It'll cause constipation, like those sort of health symptoms, and other fat digestive issues can affect their joints and their eyes. Like all these things are very wood element related. So just wanted to emphasize that hey, as a wood element, it's so important that you take care of your emotional state. Last thing, one of the best things that a wood element can do is get out amongst the trees. Literally go and walking in nature, taking deep breaths in and out, getting around lots of things that are green. So nourishing to a wood element there as well. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do for Ancient Nutrition?
So I am on the operations team at Ancient Nutrition, which is a thriving department, a constant growing department, and in a very
it takes a lot of planning.
A lot of planning goes into what we do over there. So for me personally, I handle distribution, logistics, working with both raw material and finished goods sides. So basically helping, along the way of creating the product and then getting the product out to the customers. So I dabble on both sides of that with the operations. A lot of planning is involved, sometimes higher stress levels than other days, but overall it's a very, very refreshing and just encouraging department to be in. We have a great support system, great leadership, and as you said earlier, building up and growing, there's a lot of opportunity for that and a ton of support for that as well.
That's awesome. And I think, again, I just love being able to hear, a lot of people on the team in your area of where you're so strong. You have all of these strengths with being a leader and helping plan and sort of create growth in a company. And so I appreciate you being on the team. And I appreciate everybody for watching this. We're continuing to cover all of the different 5 elements of Chinese medicine. If you're not a wood element, you're one of the other 4 elements which we're covering on these videos. And just know, by taking care of your emotional health, eating the right foods to nurture your element, and knowing yourself better, you can take better care of your health. Thanks for watching, guys.